Well, you may not realise, but today is the anniversary of a significant milestone in our fight against coronavirus. 1 year ago, Pfizer released its first data set showing positive news. It had a COVID-19 vaccine and it worked. Since then, plenty has changed. 2 billion doses have been distributed worldwide. And last week, the company released positive results for an antiviral pill that can be taken orally to treat COVID patients. Well, as Pfizer seeks UK approval for that, one question looms large. Is this the beginning of the end of the pandemic as we know it? Well, joining me now, I'm very pleased to say, is Ben Osborn. He's UK Country Manager of Pfizer. Ben, very good morning to you. Obviously, all the talk now is of booster rollout. How do you assess progress right now?
Yeah, good morning, Ian. Great to be with you. So I think the NHS is doing a really sterling job of boosting our population. But I really would encourage all of those who are eligible for a booster jab to now come forward. We know from the the data and what we've heard from NHS in recent days, there's still a way to go. So yeah, we're making good progress, but people do need to come forward.
Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, the hot topic right now is oral antivirals. When do you expect progress on that here in the UK?
Yeah, so as you said, Ian, we announced the interim phase 2, phase 3 data last week. We're now working at real pace with regulators around the world, and in particular in the UK here with the MHRA. We expect to be filing in the near future, in the coming weeks, and then I would hope, subject to their approval, we may see this medicine being available very early in 2022.
Yeah, the UK government has obviously pre-ordered 250,000 such treatments. Are those already being manufactured regardless of regulatory approval?
Indeed, we've been working at the manufacturing side at scale, as we did with our vaccines for some time now, so that we make sure that we are ready for any forthcoming regulatory approval, both here in the UK and further afield.
Now, last month you announced that you were going to start manufacturing your COVID vaccine in Swindon. I think thus far the doses that we've received here in the UK have been manufactured in Belgium. Why have you done that?
So this is a global endeavour to really overcome the global pandemic, and what we've sought to do over the last 12 months really is to scale up our manufacturing base so that we're in a position to manufacture and supply some 3 billion doses this year, and in a position to supply 4 billion doses in 2022. And we recognised that there was an opportunity to work with a partner, Thermo Fisher Scientific, who had an established facility in the UK that we could then further kit out to contribute to that global supply. So we anticipate that we will start seeing vaccine rolling off those lines again early in the first quarter of next year.
And put this into a global context for me, Ben. I mean, how much of the global production will Swindon account for, roughly?
Yeah, we've not announced, and we don't tend to announce any figures from any individual sites. It really is a sum of the parts to get to that 3 billion doses. But the Swindon site really is making a very significant contribution, not just to UK vaccine supply, but the global footprint as well.
And obviously the wider Pfizer group is working on new formulations of the vaccine. I mean, roughly how much is being spent on R&D in this particular field right now?
So we've just announced in our earnings last week that throughout this financial year, Pfizer will now be investing $10.9 billion across our R&D portfolio. There's a significant proportion that is going into COVID-related science, both in terms of the vaccine and the antiviral, and we expect to see new formulations coming early in 2022, which will make the vaccine, for instance, easier to use. So removing that dilution step and essentially allowing the NHS to simply draw up the vaccine and vaccinate immediately without any of the steps that we're taking right now.
We keep hearing an awful lot about skills shortages across the economy right now. Ben, are you seeing that in Pfizer UK at all?
Oh, I mean, we're seeing, perhaps as you would imagine, real interest in future employees coming to work at Pfizer. We have a number of roles that we've been recruiting for recently. We've been inundated with scientists and experts to come and work for our organisation. But I do recognise the pressure across the wider life science sector, and it's a really, really important part for us all to collaborate on and work collectively with government so that we have the skills necessary for the future. And that needs to start at a very, very early age in the education system.
Obviously, it's been a tumultuous 18 months. What have the biggest learnings from the pandemic been for you, and how can you apply them to future healthcare challenges?
Yeah, I think there is as follows. The first is the power of the public-private partnership. We would not be where we are, both here in the UK with 46 million of our population vaccinated, if it wasn't for that collaboration. That has allowed us to not just develop the innovation and the science, but most importantly, to scale that innovation and to reach our population. So we really need to harness and recognise the value and the importance of industrial expertise working side by side with government, with the NHS and others. I think we also need to recognise the approach that we've taken here really has been around a collective mission, a collective purpose, and that has shaped cross-government policy and cross-government investment and their attitude and approach to risk in particular. Again, another really important learning to reflect on for the future. And finally, I would add, this is about end-to-end innovation. So not just focusing on the early science, but at every step of the way to nurture that science, that innovation, and ultimately ensure that it reaches our population.
Now, obviously, the week after next, it's World Antibiotic Awareness Week. You're doing a lot around antimicrobial resistance right now. Is that going to be the next sort of big threat to humanity, if you like?
I think so, and it's here right now, Ian. Unfortunately, it's just a bit of a sleeping giant relative, perhaps, to what we can all see and feel with COVID in our daily lives. But we do need to recognise that unless we get on top of antimicrobial resistance rapidly in the coming years, this will be as significant as COVID has been to our health and our economy. But there's much we can do to overcome that.
All right, Ben Osborn, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed for joining me.
Thanks, Ian.